Good morning. This is 1 in 36, a presentation from Anderson Center for Autism, celebrating their centennial in 2024. 1 in 36 is a weekly show devoted to autism spectrum disorder.
Good morning and welcome to 1 in 36, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky. I'm the Chief Development Officer at Anderson Center for Autism. And today I am really excited to be talking with Pete Kozak, who is the founder of Especially Everyone. Pete, good morning. Thanks for being on the show.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
So it's my pleasure, and I think this is going to be really fun. I love music, and I think we have a lot in common when it comes to the type of work that maybe, you were doing and still are doing, and the type of work that I do and that we do at Anderson. I do want to give a special little shout out to an Anderson parent who I'm not going to throw his name out there because I don't know how he'd feel about that, but he'll know it when he hears it. You were referred to us for this podcast by an Anderson parent, a relatively new Anderson parent who listens to this podcast, and I think either heard you play or saw you play or heard about a concert you guys were doing and thought that we should interview you. So I just want to say thank you. You know who you are, and we appreciate that. So
I'd
Pete,
like to say thank you as well. Thank you for that same parent.
Awesome. So Pete, why don't we start with just, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, and then we'll get into Especially Everyone.
Sure. My name is Pete Kozak. As you said, I am a behavioral therapist. I have a master's in special education. I founded Especially Everyone in 2018 as sort of a passion project. I have been a musician my whole life and have been in the field of special needs in one way or another for the past 15 years now, I guess. Wow. So I sort of at one point kind of fused those two passions. I have a lot of very talented and beautiful friends who made that easy for me to do. We sort of just repurposed our wedding band and started this project, which began as a sensory-friendly concert we did quarterly, just to serve that population. It occurred to me at some point that these authentic concerts that were such a large part of my life were not being offered to a very large group of people that would benefit tremendously in the same way that I would and have. So that's where Especially Everyone started. And obviously that was before COVID.
Yes.
Got shut down during COVID, and we've since brought it back with a different spin and much more oomph behind it.
I love it. I mean, when you're a group of great musicians who are passionate about what you do, and then you add extra oomph, I feel like that's a winning combination.
Yeah.
In any circumstance. So let me ask you a couple of just follow-up questions on your intro there. So you're a behavioral therapist. You have your master's in special education. Were you a musician before you went in that direction for, education and behavioral work?
I was, yes. I've kind of grown up playing in bands. That was just sort of what I stumbled on, and I played trumpet my whole life. My whole family are trumpet players. So
really, that's unusual. I think to some degree.
It is unusual. Yes. So I did the marching band thing. I did the orchestra thing all through high school, and then found myself in a band. Grew up playing in bands, and then as we got a little older, it became a wedding band, and that was a big part of that whole time of my life. And at a certain point, I also stumbled on the field of special needs in general. It started as a volunteer in a after school program, and pretty immediately felt like it was my calling. Like I felt really, really comfortable. I felt really, I felt like I had something to offer there. So I never left. Great. Yeah. And then I went back to school for it and made it a career.
That's fantastic. I mean, I think that people are often lucky to find one sort of natural passion that they get to pursue. It sounds like you found two. And then on top of it, you've now found a way to do both at the same time, or to at least connect the two. So that's congratulations to you.
Thank you.
That seems like a really fulfilling aspect of your life. So wedding bands, I don't know, they just bring to light everything from, the movie The Wedding Singer to like everything else. Not to downplay what you do. I love live music. And I think having live music at a wedding or any other event really does become a game changer in terms of engagement with your audience.
Yeah.
But since you're a trumpet player, and I love brass sections in live bands, I think it really makes a big difference. But it can also, thinking about like the people we serve at Anderson and a lot of people who are neurodivergent, dealing with maybe sensory issues or sensory overload issues. Live music can also sometimes be overwhelming. It can be really loud. It can, what feels good to me and sounds good to me and gets me kind of pumped up might actually feel like painful to someone else standing right next to me. So could you tell us a little bit about, what especially everyone really is, and then how do you engage? How do you keep that engagement with your audience, which seems, if you go to your website, it seems really, really clear that that's a huge part of what you're looking to do, and make, this type of music and experience accessible to everyone. But what have you thought about or studied or changed to make that all work, but without compromising kind of how your music sounds and how it comes across to the whole audience?
Yeah.
Big question. Take whatever you want to.
And a great one, to say the least. The short answer is that it's iterative. We continue to tweak these things over time. We've had musicians come in and out. It's been very selective in who's involved and how they're involved. As we've come back post-COVID, a huge part of our show is our production team. Our production manager, his name is Billy. He works very closely with me on the sound design. We have custom light design. We try to do everything we can to address all the different ways that people experience sensory information. Some people do like that loud music and want that, authentic rock and roll concert feeling. And other people struggle with it and would prefer to be in the back, away from the speakers. So we try to set the stage for however you'd like to experience the show. We even do the silent disco technology. So you can
with the headphones, right?
Yeah. So we send the band from the soundboard into the silent disco headphones, so you can actually tweak the volume yourself.
And also be getting some noise dampening by wearing the headphones, but you're still experiencing in real time
the band,
the same music that the people around you who may not be wearing the headphones are experiencing.
That's right.
That's great. That's really cool. Did I also see on your website, and I might be wrong, so but I thought I saw, do you also have sort of spaces off the stage or away from the stage where people can go that are a little bit more like private, but they can still hear, or a place even where somebody could take a break, but not leave the whole concert and then just come right back in? So it's not like a big to-do of checking your wristband and, going through that process. I thought
That's
I saw
exactly
something
right.
like that.
We call it the sensory break area. We have it set up with all kinds of sensory equipment and just, relaxation equipment as well. And it's at the big shows that we perform are called the Especially Everyone Experience. So that's our full production. And that each of those includes a sensory break area away from the music, where you can just step away and come back at your leisure. And some people, just like to wander, even if they're not wanting to get away from the show. They're there for a few hours and they like to wander and relax at some point. So we have that area staffed and set up for anyone to take a break at any point.
That's great. So it really sounds, I see this happening in the world daily now, which is so rewarding to see. That I think I started in the field 17 years ago at Anderson. I've done a bunch of different things at Anderson, but it's given me some really great viewpoints and perspectives on like what society is doing, what are communities doing, what are different types of businesses doing. And honestly, 17 years ago, it felt a lot like, it just felt like the beginning of having conversations about, you don't have to change a ton to be more accessible to a larger group of people who have different needs and still want to experience something really cool, really fun, really challenging, whatever it might be, but are not going to be the one size fits all, and it seems to me over those years that things have shifted. And now I hear and see so much more about what, like, kind of you're talking about, where you take a passion and an interest and a career that you're already involved in. And instead of saying, well, you can come if you check these 3 boxes, it's more about, we're going to do this and we're going to make it accessible because of things we can do on our end of providing the service or the experience. to just try to check everybody's boxes.
Yeah.
And one of the things that, because you're talking about like headphones and some people like to wander or want to stay for a shorter period of time or a longer period of time, closer, farther away. I saw on your website also some of the experiences you encourage your audience to play with you, which I thought is really cool, because so many times we're telling kids or people with, maybe different types of challenges or, boundaries, sort of, no, you can't. Whereas you found a way to say, yes, you can. Yeah. And I want to talk to you about that when we come back from the break. But I just wanted to point out that I think this is a great example of when you're open to the idea of changing and evolving, but not compromising on the quality, like what can happen. And I'm guessing that you are equally enjoyed by people with different neurodivergencies and autism and maybe other challenges, as well as the neurotypical population, in large part because your music is excellent, your performers are really high end, and there's just a natural energy and that comes across. And I think it's a good reminder, just because we have 30 seconds, I will just be on my soapbox for a second and just remind everybody listening, when you do things like Pete is talking about here, and when you think from the perspective of what won't, as opposed to what won't work, what could work and what's possible, you become inclusive for everybody, right? Because you're not specifically catering to, you can only come to our concerts if you're neurodivergent or on the autism spectrum.
No, that's the whole point. That is the entire point, is it does not have to be that. And the real magic, as we've experienced, is created in that. It's in that inclusive environment that's the real special stuff happens.
I call them shared experiences. And the more we can have, the more those boundaries come down and the smiles go up, and
that's right.
People leave with a feeling of success and enjoyment and happiness that sticks with you. So
that's exactly right.
Amazing. I'm so excited, Pete. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, though, I want you to kind of talk us through what to expect at a performance and where you are and how to find you and all of that good stuff.
Great.
This is 1 in 36, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, and we'll be right back.
Sometimes I just cannot believe all the storms we've gone through here.
I can only hope that we'll be able to leave this house to you one day, baby. You're our legacy.
Planning for these disasters will make sure we're safe, and is the best way to protect that legacy. You know what? We should make an emergency communication plan. That way we're ready this year. At my dorm, we have emergency kits for earthquakes and wildfires, but I'm sure there's something more local I can send you with a link.
Okay.
Smart.
Protect your legacy. Visit ready.gov/plan for the tools and tips you need to start your emergency preparedness plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Somewhere there's a river rushing through the woods while someone rushes through their day. There's a mountain looking up at the sky while someone looks down at their phone. A trail waiting to be walked while someone waits for a latte. This world is full of somewheres waiting for someone just like you. So go see yours at 154 national forests and 20 grasslands. And to learn more, visit nationalforest.org. The National Forest Foundation. See your somewhere.
And now, 1 in 36 continues on 100.7 WHUD. This is a weekly community affairs program presented by the Anderson Center for Autism.
Welcome back to 1 in 36, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, and today I'm talking with Pete Kozak, who is the founder of Especially Everyone, an absolutely great band with a great story that Pete was sharing with us earlier in the show. So, Pete, why don't you take us on the second half of the conversation into, you buy a ticket to an Especially Everyone experience. What should I expect?
Great question. So first, you'd walk in. We have our welcome center. So a part of the Especially Everyone experience also is we've created some vocational opportunities, some volunteer opportunities within the production, within the show, for people that want to be involved but don't want to actually play or perform. There's still, that community element on the production end of our shows as well. So
Right.
we have one of those positions is a greeter. So someone who's going to welcome you into the Especially Everyone experience. We give everybody name tags to let yourself be known. It also serves a functional purpose throughout the show as we sort of address people. And then we have, as you walk in, we have something called sound stations, which are just opportunities for you to play around with music. We have something we call the pentatubophone, which is just a PVC instrument you can play around with. We have our silent disco ready to go. As you walk in, we could have a little dance party. My mom's a physics teacher. She was doing some sound experiment stuff.
Cool.
So everybody kind of settles into the show. And then we often have a opening group. We feature some like-minded band, organization, performer to get everybody warmed up. And then once our band goes on, as you had mentioned before, it's intended to be fully participatory, or in as many ways as we can sort of figure out, explore with our audience. So that's a combination of original music and cover music. And most of the songs that we choose have some type of performative element that we either teach the audience a song to sing with us, a dance. We've also built a custom instrument, which we call the Magical Music Machine.
Yes.
And the way
Talk
that
about
works,
this. I saw this on your website. This is cool.
Yeah. So this also was our production manager, Billy, has helped me with this. This is also members of the band have, added their music theory knowledge to some of this. So basically the way that it works is we play a song in a key where the instrument will not allow you to play a wrong note. So
Awesome.
anyone can come
Brilliant.
I guess so. They can just perform with us. There's no inhibitions at that point. If you want to come up and take a solo, you can absolutely do so. So we kind of filter people on and off the stage. I perform and our singers perform most of the set in the crowd to just sort of break down the physical barrier of performer audience. We have projections for all of our music behind, or I guess it would depend on the venue, but around the performance, you will be able to follow along with the lyrics of the songs. And that's kind of it. I mean, the shows are, our group plays for about an hour and a half ish. And then the opening band. So the whole experience is somewhere between 2 and 2.5 hours. Something like that.
Is there a max capacity that you like to play for, or a certain size that will you play a small venue, a large venue? Is it?
It would totally depend on the venue, I suppose. But no, I mean, the short answer is no. We would play for wherever can be accommodated.
Cool.
Yeah. So
that's great. So I just what you call it, the Magical Music Machine?
Yep.
Okay. So I want to talk about that just again and tie it back to what we were saying before about the whole point of this project, which now is bigger than a project, I'd say, but, being accessibility and also that shared experience that I also grew up in a musical family and always had music in my life going through school. And now, my kids are playing things and going to concerts. But one of the things that I see often, whether it's at a wedding or at a party, small, big, whatever it might be, is that there's this hesitation when you get invited up to say something, to sing something, to play something, which is there's the fear. I still have it as an adult that you're going to mess up a chord or mess up a word and then everything's just going to come to a halt. So I just the reason I kind of yelled out that it was brilliant is because I think, again, it's an incredibly creative way to approach how do you take that away? How do you take that one thing away that isn't necessarily going to mean everyone wants to come up and play, but it might mean that 3 people who would have never even contemplated doing that may have that experience in their life now, because there's that one thing that's not going to happen, which is I'm going to play the wrong note and everybody's going to look at me. Or somebody from the band's going to say, well, now we have to start all over again, like whatever it might be. So I want to appreciate you guys for doing that. And I have no idea what it takes to build something like that. So I'm assuming there's quite a lot of skill that would go into making.
Yeah. I mean, I could not have done it by myself. That's for sure. Billy's an incredible human being, and all of the guys in the band that contributed to the music theory element of it. It was definitely a collaborative effort, but you're completely spot on with what you said about that. And it's really what we want to do, is break down those inhibitions. And it's really a special thing that's not even just specific to the audience. Like we are all collectively experiencing it as the band. And I've had this conversation with every member of the band. It's a special thing to perform in this way, where it's not about you at all. I've had the experience, I have my original band that I toured with all those years ago, and it was sort of self-serving, and we create this art and we want to show you our art, and there was that. It's so much easier to get in your head in those contexts, whereas this, we're giving the gift of music and experiencing it collectively, and it becomes this out of body performance where you're no longer worried about the notes. It's really just an energy thing, and you settle into this really seamless and natural way of experiencing music and life in general. It's really just a nice thing. So
it sounds nice, honestly. I mean, what you're doing with your life and the fact that you're sharing this with so many others is just, it's really making just me feel happy just knowing that you're out there, which is why as soon as I checked you out, I was really interested in learning more about what you're doing. So we only have a couple more minutes left. Let's cover some of the logistics. If people want more information or to see these things keep saying that I saw on your website, can you share your website so people
Absolutely.
can visit?
Yeah, it's especiallyeveryone.org.
Okay.
We just released our Especially Everyone experiences through the end of the year. So we have shows each month: July, August, September, October. It's basically Fairfield County, Connecticut, Rockland, Westchester County, New York, and Bergen County, New Jersey are our three kind of targets, all sort of local. And the tickets, I don't believe any of the tickets are up for sale yet. They will be this week. So anyone can buy tickets there. And we have we're doing the nonprofit thing now, making this an official organization. So we just started a fundraising campaign, and we're going big on 2025 and the rest of the year as well. So
awesome. So that's all fair game. We want to reiterate especiallyeveryone.org, and that's a place you can find out upcoming concerts, buy tickets, learn more, see some cool videos to get a sense. You can I would think that preparing for an experience with you would also be beneficial to maybe check out some of those videos ahead of time, get a sense of what you might see and hear. I think there was something, either a social study or story or something close to it in terms of things you can download or resources to kind of be able to help prepare your loved one or yourself for, like, as you get closer. If there's a little bit of nerves coming up for you, you might be able to just kind of have some resources there. And then on top of it, I think I saw that also you are open to private bookings. So if somebody wanted to contact you for a specific party or an event, we can get in touch with you and try to figure something out there.
That's right. Yeah. The whole Especially Everyone experience is scaled. We've scaled it down to, we're teaching a weekly class with 2 musicians at this point. So we have the 10-piece band at the full production, and we have as many as 2. We do a lot of shows, in the 5 or 6 musicians, playing at a couple schools, a couple programs with that ensemble. So really any facility, that's kind of the point, is to be able to bring the music wherever people want it.
Great.
Yeah. I
love it. I can't wait to see what happens next. And I mean, as a nonprofit, you'll be able to benefit from people's generosity. And I think I would, I run the foundation at Anderson Center for Autism. I know what it takes to successfully fundraise, and we're happy to get the word out, because I'm hopeful that maybe we'll see you on our campus one of these days.
Hope so too.
For families listening, I mean, we hear all the time that families do not have enough opportunities to go have an enjoyable shared experience with the grandparents, the cousins, the siblings, the friends. And music is one of those things which can bring people together. And I just love what you're doing, and I appreciate it so much. And please thank the whole band and the whole team, and Billy, obviously, who's integral to so much of what you do. Yeah. Really excited to see what you guys do next. So thanks, Pete Kozak from Especially Everyone, especiallyeveryone.org. Sorry. Good luck with everything in the future. Sounds awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure to speak to you, and I look forward to continuing the conversation.
Sounds great. It's 1 in 36, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, and remember, Anderson cares.
You've been listening to 1 in 36, a weekly presentation from Anderson Center for Autism, celebrating their centennial in 2024. Join them for another edition of the show next weekend.